We had the story from the Post Millennial. Rep. LaMonica McIver pleads not guilty to assault charges after May altercation outside Delaney Hall, which is kind of crazy because there's video of her punching a cop. So I don't know how you plead not guilty to that.
That's the thing. It's like, girl, they got you on video, like in 4K.
Because she was fighting fascism.
Yeah, that's right. That wasn't a cop. That was fascism.
It was a fascist.
Yeah, she wasn't hitting a police officer. She wasn't hitting an agent of the law, an agent of the government. She was hitting fascism because everything is fascism.
Let me see if, wait. Is this? Oh, wait, this is something else. I'm just trying to find the story.
This is all about political. At the end of the day, this is all about political intimidation. I don't know. I thought it was all about physical intimidation. Failed physical intimidation.
The new trend is to just go get arrested, like lawfully arrested.
All right, here's the video from May 9th. I just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to literally watch the footage of her punching a cop.
Yep.
Is there sound on this one? No sound? Okay. So here you can see her in the red, and she's fighting. Shoving, and it gets better. There's her shoving. You can see she's shoving him.
Mm-hmm.
So first, that's just regular old assault. But wait, there's more. There's her. You see her doing a closed fist pound. We don't know on who, though. Boom. And then there's the closed fist pound. And now here's the closed fist punch of the cop. She punches him in the back of the shoulder. Oh, they blur it out. Or I'm sorry, the YouTube's blocking it. So check it out. Boom. You see that?
Oh, there you go.
Boom. Punches. This is a cop. She punched him in the back. How are you going to plead not guilty when you're on camera doing it? Does she not?
She's going to rely on the jury to find her not guilty, or she's going to rely on
they just won't they won't prosecute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a Democrat, just do whatever you want all the time.
It's different.
Why didn't the DOJ arrest Brad Lander?
Pardon me?
Why didn't the DOJ arrest Brad Lander?
I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, he got arrested. Why wasn't he charged? Why did Trump let him go? I'm just so sick of all of this. Okay, I'm sick of all of it. This is why I've never liked Republicans. They're a bunch of turtles. They're walking around. They're funny to look at, but they don't do much. And a 3-foot tall fence stops them from doing anything. Brad Lander goes to an immigration court, links arms the guy who they are to deport, and starts screaming at the cops. They can't do this. They have no authority to arrest or detain, and literally fights with the cops, and they don't charge him. And then he goes on shows like I think he went on Charlemagne, and he says he actually got called out for doing a stunt. I'm just going to say this: if the Trump DOJ will not charge these guys, they're going to all keep doing it.
Yeah,
right.
Bowman pulled a fire alarm to obstruct an official proceeding. Nothing.
That's why she's doing this, because I think she's just looking around and betting that she can do the same thing everybody else is doing and get away with it.
They know that they can, if they can't stop you by calling you racist, they can stop you by calling you a fascist. That's why they do this, because they know that they're afraid of being called authoritarian.
I guess. I think it's just that Republicans have always been weak and unwilling to do the difficult things to win power. Partially because they have honor, which I respect, but partially because they're also scared.
You know, has anyone ever heard the story about, like, oh, if you're a conservative and you're walking through a field and there's a closed fence or closed gate there, you'll leave it because someone closed it for a reason. But if you're a liberal, you'd go to the gate and open it up. Has anyone ever heard that kind of stuff?
I've never heard
of
it. The idea that it's not a gate that you're trying to get somewhere, you'll just open it to open it?
Well, yeah, because it's something to do with the impulse that, you know, people that are conservative have versus the impulse that people that are progressive or on the right or on the left have. And I totally lost where I was going with this. I don't know why I brought it up.
You want people to open random gates?
I hope they do open random gates. No, but it's something about, like, things are, if you see a gate and it's closed, the conservative will be like, well, someone closed it for a reason.
Like how sometimes cats get mad that doors are closed and will put their arms under it and start yelling.
Open it.
Our cat's just like, so we have in our apartment, we have one cat that stays in this half of the apartment, the other two over here, and they just go back and forth of just knocking on the door all night long.
Cats don't like doors being closed.
Hate the doors being closed.
They don't like things sitting on the top of a table either. They just knock it right off.
They're correct. Things shouldn't be on the table. What are you doing? They should be on the floor.
The thing that worries me the most about this story is we've been talking about societal meltdown is if politicians are doing this, what message does this send to their supporters? Like if these are the people we're electing to represent us and they're supposed to be an example and they're shoving cops, what are we telling the average American? It's a horrible precedent.
I thought they were fascist.
I thought they were telling the average American that January 6th wasn't actually a problem.
Yeah.
Right. Well, right. Yeah. Right. Well, you know what they say. If the left didn't have double standards, they've had no standards whatsoever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the one you were talking about that was arrested but not charged?
Brad Lander.
You said that Charlemagne
called him out like you got like him and Jose
out.
Padilla were doing these stunts.
Yeah. He does like he gets it right every so often.
He's Jose now.
Charlemagne gets it right every so often. At the very least, calls them out when they do this type.
I think he's just a very simple man.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I love it.
I don't know if it's that like these liberals didn't go to high school, but I think it was J.D. Vance who said Jose, right?
Yeah.
When he accidentally calls you Jose, and then you get mad about it, that's when it becomes your nickname. If he laughed and said, "Call me Jose, buddy," whatever makes you smile, nobody would care.
Nobody would care.
The worst thing you can do is hate a nickname. It's going to stick forever. Like if you want a nickname to stick, pretend to hate it.
I literally forgot Elizabeth.
Oh, they're
Warren's
calling
real
me
name.
Axel. Dang.
Yeah, I forgot what Elizabeth Warren.
Who's that?
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Pocahontas?
Oh,
Pocahontas.
Oh, I know who that is.
Yeah. That's Daddy's nickname for
I
her.
was sitting there. I was like, oh, what's her?
I like
actual
this
name?
daddy thing. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with it.
Trump loves it.
Well, there's like some video going around of a guy in Michigan saying we should refer, for the purpose of the debate, Trump should be referred to as daddy. And now all the liberals are like, see, it's a cult.
Oh, God.
Yep.
It's exhausting.
Joe Biden on the debate stage, like, this daddy guy is a big problem.
I was just imagining like a gate in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I think it was because like it had something to do with my thought process it had something to do with the fact that the left, the means don't matter to them. They just want the result, and I'm not sure how I can.
I mean, that's actually true for the most
they
part.
don't.
Which is like when I was trying to explain to someone why they lose is that they do not care to. It doesn't matter if they lie. It doesn't matter if they cheat. It doesn't matter if they steal. The only thing that matters is that they get the end result they want, and that there is no truth but power, and that the ends always justify the means. Because, as you always say, the only thing that matters is the revolution.
Yeah, it's the issue.
Just remember, guys, daddy is a term of endearment.
Yes.
Unless daddy makes you say it.
Yeah.
You'll be in Spain, like, they call me Padre. They call me.
But I mean, look, it's clear that everyone knows that the left doesn't care about the law or anything. You can see it every single night in Portland and Seattle lately, just rioting and being angry at Donald Trump because they're actually mad at their dad, and that's what Donald Trump is.
No, that's right, because they're mad at somebody saying there are standards for behavior. There's a right and wrong. There's morality. There's good and bad. There's all the. Again, we're talking about Western civilization here, and what's amazing to me is I'm hearing Tim describe. Tim, I'm hearing you break down earlier all the stuff going on in New York, and I'm just thinking to myself, how on earth. Because I've got the gray hair to prove I've been around a little bit longer, and I'm sitting here going, how is it that Tim has to explain this? That's the most troubling part of, like, how is it that Tim has to break this down and educate people that this is a bad thing? Why is this even? That's the craziest part to me.
Well, I think you
had to say that.
Most people are focused on their lives.
Yeah.
It's electrician's got to hire a guy to fix his copying machine, but he can tell you how to put electricity and electrical systems in your building. And so for the average person, why do they watch the shows? Because they're at work all day, whether they're a car salesman or they work in a steel fabrication plant or something.
Yeah.
And they get news in bits and pieces. And so you come home, you put on Timcast IRL, and I, like any other service provider, will be like, hey, all day I was reading the news while you were working. Here's what I've read about.
But also, Tim, I think it's because it makes a point that communism is so, like, if you think about marketing, communism rebrands and repackages itself constantly. Oh, you don't like this? It's this. You don't like this? It's this. And so you, in that case, had to remind people, hey, guys, it's the same stuff. Different day. This is what it is. It's the same thing as the, Soviet Union, where people were waiting in line to get into the grocery stores. Same thing, different packaging.
Well, That's why it's always the revolution. The issue is never the issue. The issue is always the revolution. They always package it. The point isn't whatever they're talking about. The point is, how can we destabilize the existing status quo and institute a communist utopia?
Using the base human instinct of jealousy.
Using whatever means they can.
No, but it's always the
that.
same thing. They have
works.
They have what you don't have, and you deserve to have what they have. That's what it is.
It's totally not always the same thing, because sometimes they use tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm saying it's the same argument, which is you deserve more. You deserve more, and you know, they're stealing from you.
I mean,
this is the exact reason why I said that why I said at the beginning of the show. Look, this is a lot of this is based on feminist, feminist ideology, because the first arguments made in that was like, hey, your man is holding you down, your husband doesn't let you do this, and you can say, look, there's some validity to it. Women couldn't own property, or women couldn't own have bank accounts or whatever. So fine, fair enough. But the arguments that were made were always based on oppression. Your husband, or men generally, are holding you down, they're oppressing you, and then it just goes on to the next group that you can convince is being oppressed, so that way they get up.
Have you heard Dennis Prager talk about the difference between the biblical idea between justice and compassion?
No.
Really brilliant. He talks about the fact that justice has to be applied to all of us, because that's the only way we have a society, and compassion can be applied personally. But if you mix it up and you make compassion the societal value, and you take justice away, everybody gets screwed.
Yeah.
Right?
And this is happening, what's happening right now, what you're talking about have and have nots. If you look at what's going on in Venice with the Bezos wedding, there's people protesting Jeff Bezos getting married there.
How insane.
And the best part is then there's shop owners who are like, no, we want you here, because you're going to frequent our stores, you're going to spend money here. We are a tourist town. But those aren't the people that are protesting.
Right.
It's young people with no job and no skin in the game who are out there saying...
Skin in the game.
Yeah, who are saying, get out of here, Jeff. Meanwhile, everyone who runs a business there's like, I want the billionaire to come into my store. He's got disposable income. We want them here. And that might be the greatest example of how ridiculous it's gotten when a tourist town is like, we don't want rich tourists here.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's also going to...
Well, I think a component of the fourth turning is when people don't know how they have generated the wealth that they have. And so you end up with a bunch of white liberals voting for communists. The meme, as I mentioned yesterday, is hard times make strong men make good times make white liberal women, and white liberal women make hard times.
And somehow you get a grocer who's voting for government-run food stores.
Yep.
Insane.
No, I'm pretty sure most of the grocers are probably voting against it.
I hope so.
But it is interesting when I see these videos out of California where people are ransacking CVS. Mm-hmm. And the reason why this is largely happening is because of corporatization. Obviously, there's communism and things like this. But what I mean is when you go into a mom and pop shop and try and steal from them, well, historically, when everything was a small business, you would just die. Someone came in and tried ransacking from your stuff, you'd get shot. Mm-hmm. These days, there is still the problem of the communism in government, the expansion, but most of these lootings are happening at big chain stores where the people who work there are like, I don't care. And then even people in our own chat will post stuff saying, don't risk your life for some corporation that makes billions of dollars. Why bother? Mm-hmm. So there's kind of a double-edged sword in this, or it's a two-pronged attack. If we were watching these gangs loot and raid small businesses, people would be saying something completely different.
Yeah, there would be there would be an element of shame to looting a small business that there isn't there. It's like, again, the ends justify the means, and if you have to loot a big box store to get justice, then I guess that's what you have to do.
Yeah, like Tim was hitting on, is that's kind of the problem, is every time these riots break out and they're destroying a CVS, people would be like, you're destroying your own community, right? How ironic. And it's like, if a Panda Express represents my community, then it's not really a community I care about.
Hey, whoa, Panda is amazing.
Sorry, Long John Silver's.
Are you going to trash Orange Chicken on this show live?
Listen,
Very
they're
dangerous.
getting a little overpriced.
I'm okay with
Portion
the Long
sizes are going
John's.
down.
I'm okay with the Long John Silver.
If they touch an Arby's, I'm going to form a unit myself.
Don't touch Chick-fil-A. That's
the-
like there
The
you
thing
go.
is it's not it's not that it's a corporation like a CVS. It's the fact that there's going to be a lot of people who live in that neighborhood who don't have cars, who don't have access to another store. Sure, it's a chain with billionaire bosses, I'm sure, but it represents the goods that the people in that community don't have the ability to walk to get elsewhere.
I don't know. I'm not sure that I'm convinced by this. In 2020, they were like, we've talked about the people that were putting up the signs in their windows saying, "Oh, I'm a small business, whatever, blah blah blah. Please don't hurt me." They still smash their stuff. They don't care. Once the group of, whether it be looters or whatever you want to call them, rioters, once they get started, once they get going, they're not going to stop because, oh wait, we got to be nice to this guy.
So are the government-run bodegas in NYC going to have all the goods behind glass? Like, I was in Russia.
They're going to get looted.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Loot City. But I mean, I was in Russia when at the end of the Soviet Union, but they still had the communist grocery stores, and you had to point to what, like, you couldn't grab this coconut water. You had to tell the lady behind the counter, I'd like 2 of those coconut waters.
That's how Walgreens is with deodorant.
That's how it is in a lot of neighborhoods in Chicago.
Yeah.
Imagine you go
Poorer
to
the neighborhood, the more likely it is you're going to walk
know.
into a KFC where it's literally just a little box with bulletproof plexiglass.
Yep.
The craziest thing is,
gas stations are like that too.
Yep.
I went to a Popeyes, and to get the food, there is this it was like a 4-inch thick
Sure that's food, Tim?
KFC.
No,
I'm not
Popeyes, you
Popeyes,
said.
sorry, Popeyes.
Okay.
So it was all just big thick glass, like bulletproof plexiglass or something, and there was seating, and you walk up to the counter, you'd order the food, and it was like, to give the money, they slide a thing left and right. So it's a box. They slide it to the right, you put the money in. They slide it to the left, they can take the money out. So there was no actual way to reach in any way. And then to give you your food, there was a wheel where they would put the food in it and then start to spin it around. And there was no actual way to put your arm through.
Where
the
was
wheel.
this?
Chicago.
Crazy.
Yeah, because in Chicago, people shoot you in the face.
Yeah.
Well, that's how the whole country's become. Like, you go to CVS now and you want to buy mouthwash, you got to get on your knees and beg an employee.
Oh, wait, check this out. Well, in Chicago now, they're doing Walgreens in certain areas where there's no products at all. You walk in and there's a touch screen and you touch the items you want, and then you pay for it, then they bring it out to you and you can leave.
Tesla robot brings it out to you.
But how am I supposed to get impulse items, man?
Yeah.
But here's what I'm thinking. New York's going to be awesome. Check it out. Government-run grocery stores, no cops. He wants to defund the police. So people are going to run in and just start taking stuff, and the guy working there is going to be like, "You think I care? Government runs this store." Mm-hmm. And then they're going to leave it, and they're going to be like, "You going to call the cops?" No.
This is why John Adams said after the Constitution was signed, he said that, and this is the thing we face as a country, that America, I'm grossly paraphrasing here, but he basically said, this Constitution or this system's only going to work with a just and moral people. In other words, we've created this system that's going to work with responsible citizens who have a strong moral code. And if you don't, you can pass all the laws you want, and you're going to end up with the Popeyes situation you just
said
talked about.
religious and moral people. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, see, I didn't get it totally right.
And then he said for any others, it's fully inadequate. Yeah, and then people like hand wave that away. They're like, "No, they were like Reddit atheists." It's like, well,
No, I don't think so.
they tip your fedora after you sign
edgy.
the Constitution.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I'm giving you an updo. That was a
Well,
good line.
because I think about this because, I live between Israel and here, and I noticed that, like, in our neighborhood where we live, we have like it's the opposite of what Tim just described. We have a market, they call it a marcolet there, and it's in a tent, and they don't lock it. And when it closes on Shabbat, like, they don't lock it.
Yeah.
And because nobody steals from it, because everybody in the neighborhood is operating on this moral code where, guess what? One of the commandments says, "Thou shalt not
Steal.
steal." So nobody steals. So the owners are not worried about you taking some of their fruit, so they leave it unlocked.
That's around here. They have the honesty boxes of
Yeah.
chicken.
Right.
Eggs, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And if
There's
you
quite a few of them around
did
here.
that in New York, people would be like, "Oh, free eggs."
Yeah. Right.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.